episode of Tripology. It's the only backpacking podcast where there's a greater number of passports between us than employers. I'm Alun, and I'm here with the ever literary Adam.
We're back for another show. Thanks ever so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Hell of a show this week. We're going to give you some updates as we usually do. I'm going to tell a hell of a story where I was left stranded last night out in the rain on my own without a clue. And then, of course, we've got Tripping Point, everyone's favourite travel quiz. Have your books at the ready. And then we go to Tales of a Trip, where we hear from one of you guys.
What a gorgeous summation of the show, flawlessly executed by a gorgeous man. I'm very happy to join you here on this episode of Tripology. I'm sorry to hear that you, like me last week, have been having mishaps, Adam.
Yeah, I've been feeling very isolated, mate. I've made a few blunders over the last few days. Actually, I'll tell you what, I will in the Patreon section. If you head over to the Lost and Found and sign up there, I will tell you a wicked story where I did a trial shift in one of the world's best restaurants. And let me tell you, I still haven't heard back from them. But anyway, on to what happened last night, mate. You know I've got this campervan.
I've heard rumours about you in a campervan. There's been some sightings from the Tripological audience. Some little pictures get sent to me. Oh, there's Adam in a campervan. What's been going on?
Put your underwear back on. No, so I've got this campervan, and as you know, mate, I'm a bit of a technophobe. I don't like anything to do with technology or the future, electricity sometimes, and that extends into mechanics and engineering. So I know almost nothing about cars other than how to drive one. I don't know if that, does that surprise you?
No, I've always thought of you as a bit of a Ned Ludd sort of figure.
So, yeah, it sounds like a compliment. So imagine yesterday, right? I had left work after what was a 9.5, 10-hour shift. It was absolutely bucketing it down. If anyone's got their finger on the pulse with what's going on in New Zealand at the moment, I mean, the rain is outrageous. The rain has broken records in September and October. I think it's the most rain that's ever fallen in the history of the world. Roads are falling apart. Rivers are running over buildings. Not quite as bad as a tsunami, but yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, the weather's proper shit. I left work and I went to my van. I was happy to start driving home. And as soon as I opened the door, there was a ticking sound.
Oh, God. And your mind goes crazy when you hear a ticking sound, don't you? You think it's got to be a bomb. It's got to be
clock.
A countdown to something. My instinct when I hear a ticking sound is just to wait and see, because it's either something really bad or really good at the end of it.
Yeah, well, it was a repetitive ticking sound, and the keys weren't in the ignition yet. And I thought, if this is a bomb, if I was making a bomb and I planted it in a camper van, I would probably, you know, where you, what do they call it? When you set off a bomb, when you detonate a bomb. I would make it at the moment almost with comical timing that the person put the key in the ignition and turned it. I mean, that would be, for comical value, that would be great, wouldn't it? That's probably how you would rig a bomb.
Yeah, and it's important. I'm sick of people doing these explosive assassination attempts with no diligence paid to comedic timing or effects.
It's how you see it on the cartoons. You put the key in the ignition, you turn the key, and all of a sudden, kaboom. Yeah. So I thought, maybe I'll just leave it in case it is a bomb.
The best assassins are outside the car lighting a fuse with a match, aren't they?
That's exactly it, mate. I was terrified. I thought, well, I already know nothing about cars, and I know even less about bombs. So what am I going to do here? I was actually giving my boss a lift home, who was getting soaked, by the way, because he was standing outside thinking, why hasn't he turned the van on yet? Unlock the door or something.
Why didn't you unlock the door?
I don't know. That's it. Just wait until I've sorted this out. Save yourself.
Another comedic choice by you. This whole scene's funnier if my boss is outside in the rain.
Yeah, something like, get your cameras, come on. But anyway, I turned the key and nothing happened. And it was at that point I realised that the battery was dead and I had absolutely no way of getting home. And the dread, I was just immediately filled with dread because I was already thinking, well, my entire night is a write-off at that point, isn't it?
And your bosses.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I looked at him immediately. I said, little mistake. Could have left the lights on all day.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was what happened. Maybe the ignition was turned. I don't know. The bottom line is this van is going absolutely fucking nowhere. So if you want to get a bus home instead.
You're not the ever empathetic Adam this week, are you? You're just like, oh, my night's ruined. Meanwhile, your boss is there getting absolutely pelted by never precedented New Zealand weather.
Well, the ironic thing was that I actually worked later than he asked me to so that I could give him a lift home.
That is ironic.
I felt quite bad. And then I was thinking, okay, what options have I got? Bless him. He immediately got on the phone to one of our other friends who knows a little bit about cars. You know, he's ridden motorbikes and that.
Can you give me a lift?
Yeah. No, don't worry about Adam. He'll be fine. He's all right. It's his fault anyway. But I phoned the AA.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah, I decided to drink my way out of everything. But I phoned them, and the first guy that answered the phone had no time for me. Probably because it was coming to closing time. It was about 4 minutes to 8 in the evening. And he kept on asking me whether I was a member. And I said, yeah, I'm insured with you. And he said, no. Are you a member of the AA? And I couldn't, because I couldn't hear him that well because of my phone and also the rain. I kept on saying, yes, I am a member. And he was trying to ask me something. I was trying to reply to what he was saying. And then he just hung up on me.
Oh.
He just hung up, Alun. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. I can't believe it.
And luckily, in the meantime, my mate had arranged for one of our other friends, unbeknownst to me, to come round and sort the whole thing out. And thank goodness someone knew something about cars. So there I was, like damsel in distress, as I am with you sometimes, just trying to help, trying to lend a hand. But he turns up, you know, big French stallion with the cables or whatever they're called. What are they called?
Yeah, jump cables.
Jump cables. Yeah, Reese, don't worry, mate, you'll be fine. I was like, no, I think I'm probably going to have to charge the entire camper van for about 8 hours. He's like, no, I'll just connect this to this, turn the engine on, and you'll be away. And lo and behold, mate, that is exactly what happened. But it probably cost me a good 45 minutes if it wasn't for the help of some dear friends.
Well, that is a shame to hear. I'm glad that there was sort of someone that progressed through the hierarchy of, you know, towards alpha, an alpha male. I'm glad there was an alpha male there to sort of assist you. Car people, they're quite a rare breed, aren't they?
Nowadays, yeah.
But I was thinking, you know, you were hung up on by that AA guy.
Yeah.
I've only ever been hung up on by one person in customer service, and it was in New Zealand. So I'm noticing a theme.
Wow. That is interesting. There are, you know, I have said this, maybe this next thing that I'm about to say, I won't necessarily cut into a reel and put it on Instagram. But I have noticed that in Australia and New Zealand, with my dealings across various industries, whether it's, you know, doctors, medicine, banks and finance firms, logistics, obviously now car insurance, they are lacking, mate.
Yeah.
They are lacking.
They are.
They are.
The person that hung up on me was actually, they were working in a pizza shop.
Right? Why did they hang up?
Well, we can do a role play if you like, but you will have to play me.
I'll play the pizza. No, go on.
And forgive me, I'm going to play the pizza worker, but forgive me, I'm going to do an Australian accent. For those listeners who have some nuance and they're going, that's not a New Zealand accent, I am going to try and just get by. All you have to do, Adam, is say, I would like a pizza, please.
It's so funny you should say that, because just yesterday I was talking to a Kiwi who I thought was Australian, and I implied that they were Australian, and they took offence and said, well, how could you possibly think I'm Australian? Can't you tell by my accent?
And you are in New Zealand.
Yeah, the irony is like, you do sound fairly similar.
Quite
really?
The same, really, and to a lot of people's ears, yeah. All right, mate, so you're calling me up, okay, and you're saying, I would like a pizza.
Okay. Do you want me to do the ringtone?
I think it's best, yeah. Give some context.
Yeah, okay, so bring, 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 bring.
All right, mate, Hell's Pizza.
Hi, mate. Yeah, I've just called. I'd like a pizza.
Oh, what do you want, mate? Sorry, I can't. What do you want?
I'd like a pizza, please.
What's that, mate?
A pizza? I'd like a pizza.
Oh, what kind of pizza? What kind of pizza do you want? I can't hear you, mate.
Oh, wow. Just like that.
And evidence was, because I made subsequent calls to different establishments, there was nothing wrong with my phone, and he could in fact hear me. So if you work at Hell's Pizza and you remember that on New Year's Eve 2017, you hung up on a guy who just wanted a little bit of pizza on his New Year's Eve, fuck you.
Was it because of your pronunciation of pizza, do you think?
It's pronounced pizza, mate.
There's no panini at this place. No, I do think, just rounding off, mate, that so many things like that have happened in my life. Actually, that is the first time that I've ever let my car go dead and it's had no battery. That's never happened before. I've never changed a tyre in my life. I've had very, very good luck. Even on my long cycle rides, I've also never had to fix a puncture. And people seem to help me out in my moments of need. Like, I am a damsel in distress in these things. I do wonder sometimes if it would actually be better for me and my development and growth if, when shit hits the fan, I just had to do it on my own.
I've long thought this about you.
I never have to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Because I always ask for help. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. But obviously you know what I mean, because I ask you for help on a daily basis.
I think people actually almost get into two categories with this, and it really is that simple. There are people who are willing to ask for help all the time, and that serves them in a wide array of contexts. And there are people that really prefer not to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I think people who prefer not to ask for help end up, like, I have changed a tyre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Several times. Do you know what I mean? So, like, in those situations, if on my own, but I probably can't change a tyre as well as that burly alpha Australian that came to help you. So
No, he was French.
Oh, French. By that burly alpha Frenchman that came to help you. So,
but you do know how to do many more things than I do as a result. But we've both still won an independent podcasting award. So
swings and roundabouts,
path of least resistance.
And I bet if you called up on New Year's Eve trying to get a pizza, maybe you'd have given you one. Maybe you'd have got one. So who's better at the end of the day? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that asking for help whilst traveling is a very valuable skill, though, because I have been traveling with you in context where I'm trying to solve a problem and I'm like, but this, what am I going to do here? Where do I go here? And you just go up to someone like, hello, I'm looking to try and just have my whole day organized for me for free. Oh, Alun, I've sorted it. This guy's just going to take us. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So that's good, isn't it?
You're like, but the app.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Exactly.
You are right. Well, mate, I think that's about time we go off into the next section of the show. And I know that you were delaying the process. I know you were trying to make this first third as long as it could possibly be, because I've got no doubt you're quaking in your boots at the next part of the episode, which is, of course, everyone's favourite travel quiz, is Tripping Point. Tripping Point.
Tripping Point, of course, the section of the show that gives me that anxious feeling deep in my belly as I know that not only am I going to be tested, but I'm going to be tested with some of the best questions that Adam can possibly devise. So I'm willing to take them head on. Last time we played Tripping Point, of course, it was what the kids in Gen Z call an epic fail. I didn't answer anything correctly. It was quite a hard episode, but I can only imagine you've adjusted the difficulty accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, I have adjusted the difficulty. I would say more accurately, I've probably gone a little bit out of left field with this one. And even though it is heavily travel related, it's also sort of publication and book related, which is, of course, thanks for listening, you keen-eared listeners, which is why you refer to me as the literary literature. This is a book special. How much have you read in the way of travel novels, travel publications, famous travel iconic sort of books and magazines?
In my whole life, I've read maybe 5 books. I've listened to a few more than that, but I have got an English language degree. The only person on my course who didn't read a single book during the English language degree, because on day 1, the lecturer said, this isn't like A-level, you won't pass unless you read the materials. And I saw that as a kind of sexy challenge. So I haven't read much, Adam, but I'm going to do my best regardless.
Okay, well, I think you're going to do fine, mate, because even if you don't know the answer, your methodology and your in-game strategy that often helps you win very famous UK game shows will prevail. So here we go. Are you ready for number 1? Are you ready for the first question?
Well, I would like it if you introduced something in the way of a wager.
Okay, because it is about books, and I have been reading, actually, you'll be pleased to know, I'm currently reading 3 books at the same time. Not literarily at the same time, but I'm sort of halfway through one, just about to finish another, and just started another one. I would quite like an Amazon. Are they Amazon, the Kindles? Are they owned by Amazon?
I can do you an Amazon gift card, mate.
Yeah, for sort of put that towards a Kindle. If you get 4 out of 5, it's actually technically going to be 4 out of 7 because there are a couple of cheeky bonus questions for you. So how does that sound?
I think if I get less than 3, I'll give you an Amazon gift voucher, and if I get more than 3,
I'll read a book to you.
Sure.
I'll come and read a book to you. How about that?
Let's get on with it.
So here we go. Number 1.
Yeah.
Lonely Planet was founded in 1972 by Tony and Maureen Wheeler, with their first guide being published in 1973. But what was it called? Is it A, Across Asia on the Cheap? Is it B, Budget Backpacker's Bible? Is it C, Europe on a Shoestring? Or is it D, The Banana Pancake Trail?
I think it was the Budget Backpack Bible.
Okay. Are you locking it in?
Yeah.
I'm afraid, mate, it's Across Asia on the Cheap. I could tell by the little smirk you quite liked the question. That is going back a very long way, isn't it?
I once read an article on those individuals who started Lonely Planet.
Yeah.
And I did remember vaguely that there'd been a name change, but obviously couldn't quite remember what it was. Frankly, I thought that I think all the titles were... I mean, I'm glad they changed it to Lonely Planet. So, bit of a toss-up for me there, but I'll take the loss.
There are some really interesting things. So, did you know Lonely Planet has since printed over 150 million copies worldwide, with the Wheelers' very first guidebook back in the very early 70s being written on a borrowed typewriter in an apartment in Melbourne, Australia, which is pretty cool. I also, just off the top of my head, was when I was doing a bit of research about this question, I think it was back in 2007, they sold 75% to BBC worldwide. Did you know that?
I didn't, but congratulations to them. I've heard BBC worldwide pay a pretty penny.
Yeah, have you got any idea how much it was?
5 mil.
5 million for a 75% stake in Lonely Planet?
Yeah.
When it was arguably at its height, it was more like 60, 70 million.
10 times what I would have negotiated. So congrats to the guys over there at Lonely Planet.
Yeah, the audacity of calling it Across Asia on the cheap. You know, fast forward 3 years.
Yeah.
30 years, beg your pardon.
Here's our new book, How to Travel Asia If You Just Made 50 million from the BBC. Step 1, stay in a hotel.
Yeah, get off your first class flight having downed a bottle of champagne.
Wipe the caviar out of the corners of your mouth. The locals don't like it.
Number 2, the magazine Condé Nast Traveller historically used the tagline Truth in Travel, but in 2013 the tagline was redefined as what? Is it A, the world made local? Is it B, luxury for less? Is it C, fashionable wanderlust? Or is it D, the planet in pages?
It's either the planet in pages or luxury for I think it's planet in pages.
Oh, I've pulled the wool over your eyes, mate. That was one I came up with last minute. I'm really glad you went for it. It's actually the world made local. It's quite a nice tagline, isn't it?
Oh, dear, Adam. Yeah, I mean, I recently tried to get Tripology featured in Condé Nast, and so looked at their pages, and I can't remember seeing that. So obviously not very prominent, badly designed.
What do you think of Planet in Pages? We can copyright that if you want. I mean, I did just make it up a couple of days ago.
I think it's better than what Condé Nast are doing. Yeah.
Oh,
Adam is the developer of such great travel taglines like Condé Nast, Planet in Pages, and Tripology, travel podcast.
Dear, oh dear. Here we go. Number 3. Let's try and get you some points on the board.
I really need to, otherwise my Amazon account's going to look a little bit light.
I know. I could do with a new book as well. I've only got 3 on the go. Number 3. What is often considered the oldest continuously running travel magazine still in publication? Is it A,
National Geographic?
Is it B, Wanderlust? Is it C, Travel and Leisure? Or is it D, Condé Nast Traveller?
It's Nat Geo, baby, all the way. Give me that point and relinquish me of my debt to Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, you got 1 point on the board, mate. That's a great answer. Do you want a bonus point to guess the decade that it started in?
Is it the 1900s? It's 1900s, right?
No, it's older, but not by much.
I was going to say, okay, I wanted to just check that was the case because I think it's 1890.
It's 1888. My goodness. It's a great guess. It's a great guess.
I was going to say 1890 off the trot, but I thought if it's like really not that. I didn't want to appear a bit stupid, you know?
You got to go with your gut, mate.
I know.
Go with your gut. No one thinks you're stupid that's listening to this. My goodness.
Some people do. I've had a few hurtful messages recently from listeners saying things exactly like that. Alan, you're stupid.
I got a message from my dad last week saying, just listening to the most recent episode, Alan's not done very well on the tripping points recently, has he?
Really? Did you actually get that message?
No.
Your dad, of course, one of my greatest critics when it comes to the old intellect.
Arch enemy. That's so funny. Okay, here we go. Number 4. You'll like this one, mate. You really will. Jack Kerouac typed the first draft of On the Road on a single roll of paper. Approximately how long did it take him? Was it A, 3...
2 weeks.
Okay, well, just bear that in mind. A, 3 weeks. B, 3 months. C, 6 months, or D, 1 year.
Okay, yeah, 3 weeks then. I obviously a huge Jack Kerouac fan. He was one of the defining reasons why I initially went traveling, and I know that it was a matter of weeks. He locked himself in his apartment and just wrote. And famously, his dog ate the end of that scroll that he wrote on. So you can actually go and see the scroll in Lille is where he's from, and maybe the museum's in Lille as well.
Oh, really?
But that's really cool. Yeah, the end of the paper is gone. So 3 weeks is my answer.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you're right. Of course, you're right. That's fantastic. And did you know the continuous scroll was 120 foot long? Kerouac chose to write this way, basically, just to not lose the flow and the energy of what it was he was writing. So how cool is that? Yeah,
I also like Kerouac's writing style gives me a lot of solace when I think, oh, I'd like to write a travel book, but the investment of time it would take is so much. I think, well, Kerouac knocked one out in 3 weeks, so it's pretty cool.
Yes. No, I think, especially with AI now, mate, you'll be fine. Here we go. Number 5. When the Michelin Guide star system launched in 1926, what did giving a restaurant 1 star originally signify? Was it A, worth stopping at? Was it B, culinary excellence? Was it C, exceptional service? Or was it D, good value for money?
I believe when Michelin started giving out their stars, they were basically saying that if you receive a Michelin star, you are worth stopping at. You're worth wearing out your tyres to go and make a journey to. So it's A.
It is. You're right, mate. You're right. I think that's 4 points on the board. Fantastic. And you just touched on a really interesting point, because I didn't necessarily know this. But the Michelin Guide was launched back in 1900, and the first 35,000 copies, no less, were given away for free. And this was to encourage people to drive further, spending more time on the roads, thus wearing out their tyres more quickly, so they could sell more tyres. It was all part of their master plan.
Quite an insidious marketing strategy from Michelin there, rivaled only, of course, by Swedish giant Spotify, who make copyright claims unrelentingly on accounts that don't deserve it.
Yeah, we're actually not sure whether you're going to be able to hear this, of course, because this episode might just get deleted like the last one.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Anyway, we've got a couple of bonus questions. I'll rip through these pretty quick. Number 1, Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts is a novel based heavily on the author's own life. Which of these is true about Roberts' journey that inspired the book? A, he escaped from an Australian prison and fled to India. B, he lived in the slums of Mumbai for several years. Or C, he became involved with local organised crime while in exile.
Ooh, I actually haven't read Shantaram. I just remember in India people were talking about it a lot.
It's a bit of a trick question, this one, mate.
Is it? Why? Tell me what the trick is, and I'll tell you the answer.
Well, no, because if I tell you that, you'll just get it right. I might as well just tell you.
Did he become involved in some organised crime?
The trick one is a bit of a curveball. It's actually all of them. Every single one features in the book. He's lived a hell of a life, mate. Really incredible stuff. So it is one of those books, of course. The people listening to this show have probably read it. I mean, you see it in every single hostel and every single bookshelf. It's definitely a book that people say is in the top 10 books you must read if you travel. I haven't read it yet, and you haven't read it yet. So maybe that's something for us to do in our own time.
There's a genius question and a genius trick. It's that kind of human touch that makes you know that this show's lovingly curated and not written by Vagabot.
Yeah, he couldn't have written this last one either, because one thing Vagabot does very well is come up with a lot of copy in almost next to no time, but he doesn't know you as a person, and I do. So this next question, mate, it hasn't got multiple choice, but I'll be surprised if you get it wrong. No pressure. This is the last question of the show. Which famous travel writer said, if you reject the food, ignore the customs, fear the religion, and avoid the people, you might better stay home?
Anthony Bourdain.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, amazing. A great line. It's a great line.
Anthony Bourdain, of course, passed away just a very short amount of time after I started traveling, but was a huge motivating factor for me. One of the greatest travelers of all time, one of the greatest travel writers of all time, and holds a very special place in my heart there, Adam, as well in that he helped me evade having to buy you a book. And of course, now you're going to read something to me, which is going to be an exciting bit of Instagram content or something, I imagine. But now, though, speaking of travel stories, we want the listeners to have the opportunity to tell us a great travel story by way of Tales of a Trip. You can head to tripologypodcast.com/Tales of a Trip and record 3 minutes of the greatest travel story that you have, be it the time you jumped into a big waterfall and survived, or the time you rode a lion through the savannas of Africa. That kind of hyperbolic nonsense is occasionally welcome if it actually is true. So let's hear what a listener had to say. Let's go there right now.
Hey Adam, this is one of my more interesting experiences while hiking the Te Araroa, which is from the north to the south of New Zealand. It's about a 3,000 kilometer hike, and this happened to me in the North Island. I was, after a day of hiking, I wanted to go and resupply at the supermarket. And the supermarket was about 3 kilometers away from the campsite. So I tried to hitch there, and I got a hitch, which was pretty normal as usual. And on the way back, I tried to get a hitch back again. And this time there were 2 guys from the age around 19 and 20 who picked me up. And they told me, yeah, we can take you to your campsite, but we first need to go and get... we first need to go to the liquor store. So I was just like, oh yeah, for sure, don't worry about it. And so they started driving to the liquor store, which was in a complete different direction, and was on the highway and was about 10 minutes away, even though my campsite was about 2 minutes away. So I was just asking them, like, hey, is everything still all right? And are we still going to the same campsite? Yeah. They told me, don't worry, we're not kidnapping you.
Jesus.
So that was kind of reassuring. And I asked them, oh, what are you guys going to do? Or are you guys going somewhere special? And they told me that they were going to play golf. And they asked me if I wanted to join them. So I said, yeah, I'll join you. So they drove me back to the campsite. I dropped off my stuff from the grocery. And I went and played golf with them, which was a lot of fun, and they shared their beers, and we had a really good time. They even took me to their dealer, and we got some weed after I asked them if they knew somebody. And the day after, they texted me, like, hey, do you want to go on a real New Zealand adventure? And I was just like, yeah, for sure. And they picked me up again, and they took me fishing.
Oh.
And from the weed that I got the day before, one of the other TA hikers, he made edibles, he made cookies. And so as a thank you, I gave them also some of the cookies, and we ended up having a really, really good time. And all of this happened just by accident. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoy and cherish that moment. Thank you.
Ian there proving that if you have an open mind and an open heart and you're willing to go off the beaten track and travel via hitchhiking and meeting strangers and being all open like that, a plethora of drug-based experiences could await you.
Yeah, I do like it. I think what that experience, well, it sounds like it lasted a few days.
Doesn't it?
It sort of epitomizes what I love about travel. Is if you do just say yes, you can't, when you first hitchhike, you can't possibly imagine where it's going to end up if you just keep saying yes. But when you get on with the people you're hitchhiking with, one thing leads to another. Before you know, a couple of days later or whatever, or even maybe the next day, you're teeing off with them, playing golf on the same day. Then they invite you on a fishing trip, and then you're probably still in touch with those people. It really is important to have that sort of open mind, and just maybe be in the frame of mind that remind yourself from time to time, not everyone is trying to kidnap you.
Yeah, it's something that I need to be reminded of for sure. I do often, in a lot of situations, wonder, is this person trying to kidnap me? Just today, I was buying a coffee at the local coffee shop here in Siargao, and when she handed me a coffee and I gave her money, the thought did cross my mind, is this a kidnapping? No. You're just buying coffee. So I've learned a lesson there from Kayan's message.
Yeah, it is a lovely message. Thanks ever so much for writing, Kim. We really do appreciate it. It sounds like you had a wonderful time. Would you ever walk that sort of distance, mate? A few thousand kilometers through hiking?
I love a long hike. One of my life's goals is to hike the PCT.
Mm-hmm. I do know that.
And the reason
another acronym.
Yeah, the Pacific Crest Trail. The reason I've not done it is because A, it's like very expensive. Mm-hmm. B, we'd have to really be on top of it with Trapology, because you hike through and then stop at like rest points, and we could do the show from there. But if we weren't doing it together, it would be a big ask for the show.
I think we would, at this point, probably have to do it together. It would have to be a thing that we did together in order to keep the show going as regularly as it is.
The way to do it would be to have 4 episodes done in advance, record as we went, which is mad because people saw their toothbrushes in half to save weight on the PCT. So us hiking with these things would be nuts.
Well, we'd have to just tape a toothbrush to the other end.
Yeah.
And make use of the shaft.
Or make a rudimentary microphone with a needle and some ceramic film.
Yeah, I've got no idea how it would happen, but I'm sure it is possible in this day and age to do podcasts on the PCT. We'll just have to try.
Yeah, we'd be getting out the Samsung Go's, the old little mics that we used to use, that's for sure. But I think it would be a lot of fun. So through hiking is something I'm really interested in, yeah.
It's the thing I love about through hiking is that it's, and I know this is going to sound a little bit cliched, but I think it's also the way that Suraj's message made me feel in last week's episode, which is, when you go from point to point, or your journey is weeks or months long, you can't have had the experience at the end without having had the experience at the beginning.
Yeah.
You can't get to where you're going without coming from where you've been. And I know that might sound quite strange, but when you do just walk in one direction for a long time, it is just about the stages that you go through and how you change and the people you meet and the stories you can tell.
Yeah, and I kind of echo Kayan's feelings there, because obviously the takeaway for him, the thing that he's remembered viscerally, is the warmth from those people after the hike. And I think that the same with me, that Everest hike that I did in Nepal, the most recent long 21-day through hike, I think the people that I'm with are the lasting memory. They're the thing that I feel beautiful about.
Yeah, mate. I mean, we really do have to do some more of that stuff. It's experiences, I would say, a little blind spot perhaps on my travel CV, if you will. Now I've got a camper van. Now I'm going to be living the van life for a bit, which was another huge hole in my travel experiences, I guess you could call it. And through hiking is another one. And yeah, I want to keep going. I want to keep maybe having sort of a more goal-oriented focus to my travels. And if you ever want to do the PCT, and we're still doing this award-winning, fantastic, wonderful, gigantic, bloody influential podcast, then I'd love to do it with you. As long as there's no bears, please, no bears.
Well, there you go. I'm sure that we will be hearing more about your hiking adventures as you go on your Lord of the Rings themed adventures in your camper van. But for now, it's time that we dash off, really, isn't it? Thank you so much to Kayan for sending in that message, and you guys can do the same by going to trapologypodcast.com/tales-of-a-trip, 3 minutes of your greatest travel story. Or if you love what we're doing, you want to support me and Adam in a very wonderful, much needed way, and you want to hear what happens after the theme music ends in the Lost and Found section, it's patreon.com/Trapology Podcast, the greatest Patreon in all the travel podcast worlds. Join us over there. But for now, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you there. Bye.